Here we have the hot tank cleaning kit for the BIBO Classic, and everything on this table is included in the box you get from BIBO. The hot tank cleaning guide instructions is a simple A4 piece of paper, and what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to follow through these instructions absolutely step by step, so you're going to get to see all the steps recommended to do this properly. Now this kit you only need to buy once, because this descaling system cartridge can be used again and again, and all you need to do if you use this more than once is to then buy more of this hot tank cleaning solution, which is an irritant. The only thing not included in the box are actually some disposable gloves, so you're going to want to get yourself a couple of pairs of latex gloves or better. Included in the box, don't miss these, there's an Allen key and some litmus paper, so you can test the water's got the right alkali acid level after the clean. So in the bottom of all the packaging, don't miss this because they're quite important. Without the Allen key you actually can't get the liquid into this special descaling system cartridge. Okay, let's get on with the clean. Okay, you might be able to see the screen, but my BIBO is actually currently at the replace filter stage, so I've actually chosen to wait to do the descaling process at the same time as I need to replace my cartridges. You don't need to do that because you can put your old cartridge back in, as we'll talk about at the end of this, but I've chosen that time. Okay, so just before we start, what I'm going to do, I've ripped out a single sheet of the litmus blue paper. I'm just going to run it under my water, and I'm just going to keep that to the side so I can see it's staying blue, and it's going to turn white over time because I've already done one. Prepared, of course, so I can see exactly what's going to happen, so I know exactly the state of water and the colour of this litmus paper that I expect at the end of this process. I'm going to pop them on the windowsill so they can dry. So first things first, you've got to take off the lid. You've also got to turn off the hot water at the back. Now that's the second switch along, so if you're feeling like I am from the left, it's not the first one, it's the second rocker. So very quickly I've just turned that off. Now that just means that this can't anymore heat water, and I guess that's to safely make sure that the cleaning solution doesn't get heated by the elements inside the BIBO. Okay, you're also going to need a Pyrex dish or some other measuring system that allows you to measure exactly 1 litre, and we'll come to that in a bit, but pretty much we're getting there. So I'm going to take out the existing filter. Obviously this can get a little bit stiff. I need my 2 hands on this one. So there's a standard BIBO water filter cartridge, the black label. I'm going to pop that aside. Again, I'm popping that on the windowsill at the back. And what we're now going to do is I'm going to zoom in and we're going to go through filling the descaling system cartridge. So it's gloves on time. So I've got my latex disposable gloves on. You need the Allen key to undo the very top of the cartridge. So it is the top. So the first couple of twists you're going to need to do, you're going to need to use it with a mechanical advantage, but once you've got it going and spinning and you've loosened it, you can just simply untwist this simple little white threaded bung at the top here, and you've got yourself the Allen key and the bung undone. So I've now got myself an open BIBO descaling cartridge. Get my cleaning solution. I'm doing all this over my draining board and my sink. These scissors are not my kitchen scissors. I've chosen to use my parcel packing tape scissors and simply cut the top of that nozzle off. Do it very carefully. The sharper the scissors, the less force you'll need. And you literally decant all of this into the cartridge. So I'm doing a little bit of squeezing. I know I've got this in. You've got to be a little bit careful to make sure that you can allow some air out so you don't have a perfect seal. And obviously the idea is you're not spilling any of this anywhere. You'll quickly get to the point where the cartridge will be filled up. So this bottle is now empty. I'm going to throw this in the sink temporarily. So again, it's a little bit of preparation, and I'm going to again be careful with the thread. You want to make sure you feel the thread is going where it should, so that you're not going to damage the thread. I'm going to just hold it up so I can see. There we go, popping it back down again. So once I know I've got that perfectly well aligned, and again a few twists with a long orientation, and then I'm going to pop the Allen key and I'm going to finish off with the last few rotates. Doesn't need to be totally tight, so finger tight is all it requires, and you have here now the descaling system cartridge ready to put into the BIBO. So I'm going to zoom out and do that now. I've just literally popped in the descaling system cartridge, and I'm going to just screw that in so it's now tight, and that's correct. Don't bother putting the top back on because you've got a few more jobs to do. Now what you actually need to do, I'm going to move this glass away, and I'm going to take away the drip tray, and I'm popping underneath a trusty Pyrex dish. Now what you need to do is actually decant just over 1 litre of water from the bibbo, because what you're doing is you actually want to draw this fluid into the machine, and currently the tank is full of already preheated, pre-warmed water. So I'm going to unlock and let this run through for about 1 litre. Now, whilst it's doing this, the first litre, as you'd expect, is just regular water. The chemicals aren't yet, the acid isn't yet in place into the bibbo. So because it's a Pyrex dish, I've got a measurement line, so anything that gets you a reasonable feeling for the amount of water you've dispensed will do. But I'm doing this into my trusty Pyrex dish, which I know I can because it's Pyrex, shoving the dishwasher after this to rinse through, because of course what I'm going to be doing later on is actually having some of the acid chemical come through. Now this whole process takes 8-9 hours, so do allow yourself a full day, or a process where you can leave this cleaning overnight. Now I'm watching the line here, I'm nearly at 1 litre, so I'm going to stop it a moment. Now this should be mostly just water, but I'm going to just do a test. So using a litmus paper, hasn't actually turned red yet. That could be quite a good sign at the moment, because like I say, what we're trying to do is to bring out the, we're trying to bring into the bibbo the actual acid cleaning solution. So I'm going to run a little bit more hot water through here. And I'm actually going to test the water coming through the nozzle now. There we go, now that's red. So although I had a dilute mixture in there, the actual pure test of the actual stream shows me by the red colouring on the litmus paper that I've actually now got the acid into the bibbo system. So at this point here, I'm obviously going to be much more careful what I do with the litmus papers. That's going in the sink. This water absolutely is going down the sink straight away. You don't want anyone to confuse what you're doing in the kitchen. I'm going to put a nice sign on my bibbo so nobody uses this. And one quick point, you want to actually reinsert the drip tray back into your bibbo so that you've actually got something that's going to catch any dribbles that come from either the top normal dispensing point as well as the internal underside dispense points, because there are actually a couple of nozzles that also go into the drip tray, in case you weren't familiar with that. So it's now doing its job, just leave it alone. Okay, more than 8 hours have passed and my bibbo is on saving energy mode, so we have it set to sleep after 3 hours of inactivity. So we want to be very careful removing this drip tray. So rubber glove on again. There's actually no fluid in there. I can have a quick look, but I'm going to pop that in my sink out of the way. I'm going to put my Pyrex dish underneath bibbo, and what I now need to do is dispense 6 litres. So I'm going to wake it up and I'm going to get it to dispense at least 6 litres. Now I know that this water coming out at the moment is the acid, and it's going to have worked and concentrated on the mineral, any mineral deposits in my hot water tank, and absolutely it's bubbling away quite merrily. So there's no point really testing this water until 6 litres have gone by, because we absolutely know with a litmus test paper all of this is going to be red. Let me just pull off, there's plenty of sheets in the booklet, so do have fun doing this. But absolutely, as you can see, a pinky red straight away, throwing that down the sink as well. So I'm going to come back once I've dispensed 6 litres through bibbo, and I'm hoping all this bubbling will cease, and then we're going to carry on testing the litmus paper until it remains blue. Okay, so this is the 7th litre, and I'm going to just put a bit of litmus paper under the actual running stream. As you can see, that's now remaining blue. So pretty much we're done here. I'm probably going to, just for peace of mind, run another couple of these through, and even a couple of the cold water, because although no cold water has been used, and the whole idea of this is that although this cartridge is now being rinsed out and the hot water tank, possibly some of the water that had the cleaning solutions got into my cold tank. So again, for peace of mind, I'm going to run a couple of litres of cold water through as well. Obviously, any of the splashes that have occurred whilst you've been doing this, you want to mop away and make sure that's thoroughly cleaned up. So again, anything where I'm touching any of the fluid points that could have been the acid from earlier, I'm using my gloved hand and generally being very careful. So I suggest that you do a couple more run throughs, and then we're going to go and zoom into removing the cartridge, helping that bleed, and then putting the other cartridge back in place. Okay, so I've removed the descaling cartridge now. It's obviously full of water, and what you want to do is to, using the Allen key, just unscrew the top there and invert it and drain it. And to help drain, what BIBO suggests is you use the little white key that's used for removing the UV bulb. One of these two pressure nozzle release valves here. As you can see, a bit of a spray there. Now it's only got water in it, and I know that because of course we've done all the rinsing through the BIBO and I've tested it with the pH paper, so no issue there, and that will help the water drain out, so that can just stay on the draining board. Okay, so the same tip applies for if you're returning an old water filter cartridge. So I'm waiting to actually change my cartridge in my BIBO, but you might not be. So if you need to reinsert your BIBO, you'll find that it's a very high pressure inside here going into your BIBO, and the same tip applies. So we're going to use the same device. So we're going to pop that into here and try and cover the spray this time so the camera doesn't get wet. And there was just a much smaller spray, I didn't get particularly wet at all. And this can now be easily reinserted back into BIBO, tightened up, lid put back on, and we're going to turn on the heater element and we're ready to go again. Okay, so I'm going to pop the cartridge back into my BIBO, dropping it down. Good tight twist. Don't need my litmus paper anymore. I can take my Pyrex dish away, pop back my fully rinsed drip tray. I'm going to put my cover back on. I'm going to turn the heater element back on, and we're back in business, and we can have a nice cup of tea again. So what you get, of course, is a little message to say please fill your hot water tank, and just let it know that it's actually full. And of course it's full, so you don't need to run that particularly longer. Worth remembering to pop your white key back in place by the UV lamp. Okay, as you can see, BIBO's now charging and heating all the hot water in the hot water chamber. So you've now completed the hot tank cleaning process. I've gone through every step that's in this cleaning guide. This is accurate as of March 2014. I hope you found this video useful. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment.